The GMC Hummer is dominating the news, but I'm not driving that. Today I have two normal GM SUVs that everybody can buy. GMC Terrain, Chevrolet Equinox. Both are refreshed for 2022, both brand new trims for 2022, and what else? Same size, same engines, similar prices. Now, will any of this matter if you're shopping for a compact crossover? Yes, and I will tell you the differences. There are many. Let's dive in and subscribe to CarGurus because we have lots more comparison reviews coming out all the time with new videos every week. These two should have been 2021 models, but the nasty pandemic delayed them by a model year. That's okay. They're very popular because they start under $30,000 and offer a lot of space and features. Both cars were brand new for 2018. Not much has changed, which is good and not so good. Here's the good part, the Equinox RS. It's an appearance package, but it's a good appearance package. I think it's worth the money, especially for the cherry red tint coat. Kind of hits. Normally this is a boring looking crossover, but today it's looking a little spiffy, and that's a new thing for 2022. You'll find these bigger gray 19-inch wheels, black roof rails, black badges, black bow tie, black grille, slimmer headlights that are across all Equinox models, and the LED running lamps are up here. Now, LEDs are not standard on this car because, like most beautiful things, you gotta pay extra for that. But what do you think? I think they're onto something. This is the Terrain AT4. It's meant to be an off-road trim, but it's not an off-road trim. Nothing like the Sierra AT4 that I tested last year. All it has is a different grille, a front skid plate, and some downsized 17-inch black wheels on some slightly knobbier tires. A Subaru, any Subaru, would destroy this thing off-road. Visually, all the Terrains have slightly different headlights and grills. There's different indentations. The lower part of the bumper has a slightly different air intake, new textures. Yeah, other than that, there's nothing else going on with this car. Versus that, I'm gonna take the Equinox. I'd pick that one. If I only saw the interior, I'd definitely pick the Equinox. The Chevy cost less, it's 37 grand. This is supposed to be the entry-level car and the GMC is supposed to be the step up. But this design tells me it's the opposite. There's a modern look in here with the thin center console, the vertical air vents that blend into the middle section of the dash, and they're trimmed in black instead of silver plastic because this is the RS. That also means a black bow tie on the steering wheel, another slim 3-spoke design. There's red stitching on the dash, gear shifter, and the armrest, and RS tags on the seats so you know it's not a knockoff. There's a bright and high-res 8-inch touchscreen. Don't get the 7-inch, it looks bad. The materials are what you'd expect. Hard plastic below the belt, rubbery leather. Fit and finish, it's kind of poor in some areas. These gaps are uneven. It's basic, but for this price, it's put together. GMC calls itself professional grade. This is more like professional rental car grade. For $40,000, I'm pretty shocked to be sitting in here. The Terrain tries to look like the bigger GMC trucks. The dashboard is upright, everything is chunkier, there are fewer curves, but the Terrain ends up looking older and cheaper than the Equinox. I think the Equinox has a classier look. This screen is like a little tiny one on the seatback of an old JetBlue plane, and it's the same size as the one in the Equinox. Now here you get tiered storage on the sides of the center console, more on the door panels, but this only highlights how bad the plastics are. Everywhere you touch, it's rough, even the tops of the doors. This array of buttons is the gear selector. It's very awkward to shift quickly and useless to run in manual mode. It doesn't save space because, like in the Equinox, there's no wireless charger, so there's no more extra room. What's the point? What's also weird is that my heated seats don't work. You can press these buttons all you want. They're disconnected because of the chip shortage. On the Monroney sticker, GMC says that they'll do it at a later date. And for now, they're crediting us $50 for that. That's pretty generous, don't you think? Whew, almost forgot what car I was in. Is this the Chevy or the GMC? You tell me. There's the GMC. It's exactly the same air vents, same room. There's a lot of it. And I have a panoramic moonroof. This is the single best part of the Terrain interior. This front seat folds down all the way, entirely flat, so that if you have really long cargo, you can put it all the way from the back to the front. That makes the cargo hold so much bigger than it actually is, and for such a small SUV in the compact class, I fit like an 8-foot long piece of furniture, no problem in this car. Cargo space is pretty good, 30 cubic feet behind the rear seats and either 63 or 64 cubic feet depending on which vehicle you choose. But trust me, designing the cargo hold was the most money GM spent on the interiors of these cars. I only wish they spent more to make them feel and look better. Let's fire up the one engine these SUVs have, a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with 170 horsepower and 203 pound-feet of torque. Don't brace yourself. These two are made for easy street. The engine is the same in the Equinox, but how it shifts is a lot different. There's a lot of gaps in here because this transmission hasn't adjusted itself for inflation. We're still talking 6 gears rather than the 8, 9, and 10 gears you'll find in most other modern crossovers. The GMC has 9 speeds, and it definitely, I think, mid-range acceleration is just a little bit better. This one, because there's not as many gears, it has to hang onto each of them a little longer. And there's not even an illusion of sport. This is the RS model. You don't get paddle shifters, you don't get a sport mode, and like in the Terrain, the all-wheel drive system is not automatically activated when you need it. Now, I've driven the Chevy Blazer. We have a review on that, so go watch it on the channel. And in that car, if you get the RS model, that's a special all-wheel drive system that does torque vectoring. It definitely is sportier than the regular Blazer models, but that does not carry over to the Equinox RS model, and I wish it did, because it's a pretty good system in the bigger Blazer. And here, if you don't press the all-wheel drive system button on here, well, you're just not gonna get all-wheel drive, ever. It's gonna slip, it's never gonna go out of front-wheel drive. That's not how most compact SUVs in this segment operate. They typically engage those rear wheels by themselves, so you don't have to. The engaging part about the Equinox is the handling. It actually is pretty decent. The chassis is pretty buttoned down, the suspension doesn't crash. It rides nice, and the steering's actually accurate. On top of that, as I'm slowing down, what do you know? The brakes actually have a nice firm feel to them. Wow, did not expect that. Even though there's less gears, I do appreciate there's a normal PRNDL shifter, thank goodness. Why GM needed to change it on the GMC to this dash system, I have no idea. We all use paddle shifters even though we're not going on a racetrack. It's simply a matter of convenience. Instead, there's basically these volume and radio controls here. It kind of makes you think there's paddle shifters, but instead you'll just be cranking up the stereo. Kind of nice, but it could have been here on the thumb controls. They have other controls on the steering wheel. That's all well and good, but if you're looking for a sporty experience, you're not gonna get it here. Unlike the Terrain, front-wheel drive is standard on all of the 4 trims of the Equinox. All-wheel drive is an option on all of them, including the RS. Just like the Terrain, there's no driving modes. Can't find them. There's no paddle shifters, no sport mode. To do that, you have to hit L. Use your thumb to change gears this way. It's kind of awkward. Really, paddle shifter just makes such a big difference in convenience. It's not about the speed so much, especially not with a 1.5-liter engine, but I digress. Even under full throttle, part throttle, it's not that noisy in here. When you get up to highway speeds, there's not a ton of wind noise. There's not a ton of tire noise. Considering this is a non-luxury vehicle, GM has done a pretty good job of keeping those noises at bay. Fuel economy is a little better than the Terrain. I don't know why. There's less overdrive gears here. Who the heck knows? But it's 25 city, 30 highway, and 27 combined for the all-wheel drive version. And the front-wheel drive one, which I don't think anyone really wants as you're buying an SUV, it's a little higher. The engine's remarkably smooth. It's not thrashy. When I first got into this car, I was expecting the worst. I don't have high expectations for a lot of GM 4-cylinder engines, but this one actually is quiet even under harder acceleration. Yeah, they did a good job here. And despite how little power it makes, it's not Subaru slow. I was just driving a Forester without a turbo, similar car, but wow, that thing was horribly slow, like 1992 type of slow. This one, the turbo does fill in the gap at those lower speeds. I can feel the torque. It doesn't shove me back in my seat, but I know that it's there. Another part in the Terrain's favor is the 9-speed automatic, and that means that it has more gears, more overdrive gears, so it's not hunting around as much. And in mid-range acceleration, the Terrain doesn't need to downshift quite as aggressively because, well, it has extra ratios. That's the benefit of having more gears. The Equinox is a 6-speed, and it does not feel as responsive as this Terrain. However, I would have liked if GMC kept the 2-liter Turbo 4 that used to be the optional engine. It made over 250 horsepower. I'm not sure why they dropped it, but it's never coming back. And at only 170 horsepower, I really could use more. Yeah, I really could. Front-wheel drive is standard on the SLE and SLT. All-wheel drive is standard on the AT4 that I'm driving right now and the Denali. But this all-wheel drive system, not really the best, but it's not automatic. So if I don't go down here and switch the dial to all-wheel drive, it'll never do it for me. That means that the front wheels will just spin if I'm taking a turn, if I'm accelerating quicker, if it's slippery, they'll never engage the rear axle. That, to me, that's just a problematic design. Generally, once you're up to speed, you will get there eventually in the Terrain. It's quiet. It's pretty comfortable. The suspension is good. The seats are not the most comfortable. The ride is. So I don't have a ton of support here. I hardly have any thigh support. I really don't like the seats in a lot of GM vehicles. They use like a lot of the same, just very thin padding. And it's almost like it's meant for someone who's, I don't know, like 3 or 4 sizes smaller than me. I never seem to fit right in these cars. But beside that, the fuel economy is decent. It's 25 city, 28 highway, and 26 combined. But this is up 3 gears versus the Equinox. And these are supposed to be overdrive gears, especially the 8th and 9th gears, but it gets worse fuel economy. Tell me how that happens with a vehicle that's identical weight, identical size, same engines. Don't know. The surprising thing about the Terrain is that it actually handles well. And it really doesn't roll, grips pretty decently. It's not a sporty experience, but even the steering tracks pretty true to your intended line. And the brake pedal is also right there. Is it a Corvette? No, but I don't feel squishy. I don't feel any problem whatsoever here. I think if GMC just put in a more powerful engine, they wouldn't have to do that much here. Same thing with the Equinox. These are just heavy vehicles, 3,300, 3,500 pounds, roughly speaking, with these options. And if it feels kind of slow with one person on board, imagine what it's going to be like with 3 more adults on board. There's no semi-automated driving feature like you'll find on Cadillac models, not in this Chevy, not in this GMC. There's no active lane centering. And a lot of the safety features are optional, including adaptive cruise control, which are standard in cars like the Toyota RAV4 and the Honda CR-V. But a lot of the tech is cool. In the GMC, there's a safety alert seat that actually vibrates these cushions instead of beeping and buzzing at you. Now the infotainment is identical for both cars. Right now I'm in the Equinox. Let's get a tour. The 360 cameras on both cars are some of the clearest, sharpest images I've seen on any type of car. There are so many different angles, and you can add some to a trailer if you so choose. You cannot get any wireless charging here, but you do get wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. The infotainment in general is just fast, it's logical, it's really easy to adjust settings. By app, privacy settings, it's all right here. There's an app store that works just like your iPhone or Android, and it's kind of nice because you can download them, update them, and delete them all as you wish. They live on the car, not on your phone, so they work pretty quickly, including Amazon Alexa. And say if I want to get out of this Chevy back into the GMC, I can save my preferences and my user profile to the cloud, and then I can sign in on the other car, and everything downloads. That's pretty unique. I haven't seen other automakers do that. The instrument panels on both cars look pretty dated. They're saved by this central display, which does offer a lot of different functions. This is the GMC's, and you can get a semi-digital display that has a tack in the center with a larger screen, but overall, this is not that good. And the head-up display on the GMC, what is this contraption? It's cheap and it's poorly positioned. The Equinox starts at $25,800. It's a few thousand more than 2021 because the base L trim is gone. It was too base. Prices go up to around $39,000 when loaded. The Terrain starts at $27,900 and goes up to around $42,000. My car's stickered at these prices. Neither is a good value. The Honda CR-V, Toyota RAV4, Nissan Rogue, Mazda CX-5, Hyundai Tucson, Kia Sportage, they're all way better cars in almost every way. Between the two, I'd pick the Chevy. It's got the nicer looking exterior, a more premium interior. Both of these cars are very competitive on price and features and style and technology. That's all great. But the whole compact SUV segment is moving up. They're doing better technology, more powerful engines, hybrids, more efficiency, more everything for the money. You owe it to yourself to try a GMC Terrain and a Chevy Equinox if you're out shopping for a compact SUV. Just know that these are getting dated and they're going to be getting replaced soon. So GMC and Chevy, they're going to be doing a better job, I would hope, going forward. But for now, what do you think? What compact SUV would you drive? And what do you want to see next? Go to CarGurus.com and subscribe. We'll see you next time.